Good morning. Today I'm going to get away from myself. Big relief. I'm sure that's going to be for a lot of people. As an aside, I probably have come across as being a bit of a self-absorbed old trout. Um, it's probably true. Anyway, today I want to talk about some of the wonderful musicians, both individuals and groups, which have inspired me and delighted me and touched me over the last decade or so. So first to say that during my long teaching career, I barely had time to turn round twice, let alone to really get into having the time to listen to YouTube or listen to records or listen to CDs or anything, because I was so busy marking and preparing. And violin again. But since I retired, I have had great fun on this channel, and have found, as I say, some amazing musicians and bands, and really sort of joyful and life enhancing music. So I'm going to start with, I think this was the first one I discovered. So Swiss English, I'm not quite sure exactly what her nationality is, but she's called Alma Deutscher, and I think she's now in her early 20s. She was a child prodigy and musically just amazing, was composing from an incredibly early age. I mean, we're talking 2, 3, 4, plays violin, piano, all sorts of other things, and just comes across as being a very lovely, steady, despite everything, talented and just amazing young lady. These days, I mean, she composes and she also conducts. And I think to listen to her, just to listen to her talking and to listen to her music is very humbling somehow, because I think what it shows is that genius does not have to be, as sadly it so often is, something obnoxious and unpleasant, but that, a child who has been a musical genius from her earliest years is, by the sound of things, very, earthed and obviously loved and incredibly talented, but also incredibly kind and nice. Her music is beautiful, it is wonderful, and it's very touching as well. There's something there from the spirit, as if she's taking musical dictation from another planet, another land, something like that. So yes, whenever I find any videos from Alma Deutscher on here, I always click onto them, and it's really lovely to see how she has flourished over the years since I first discovered her. So if you haven't already come across her, do look her up. She's brilliant, and she seems like a lovely young lady as well. So the next ones relate to another topic that I know I've discussed on here before, and that is my love of Crete. And so I'm next going to talk about 3 Cretan, I think they live in Australia, but Cretan musicians from a long line of this same family. They are the Zilouris clan Zilouris. The father, Yorgos Zilouris, is, if you like, the head of the musical clan at the moment, and I believe he took over that role from either a brother or his father, I'm not quite sure which. But he's got 3 children, Nikos, Adonis, and Apollonia. And they're all brilliant musicians. And the 2 boys, Nikos and Adonis, tend to play à deux with a band. And they are absolutely fabulous. They're young, I'd say early 30s, and they play amazing, really sparky Cretan stuff. And it's so exciting, because they're really good musicians, and One of them plays the lira, I think that's Nikos. The other one plays the, what's that thing called? Is it the bouzouki? No, I'm not sure. The sort of guitar-y thing. Apologies if if musicians are watching this. And they just capture, for me, the wonders of Crete. The heat, the smells of the plants, the dancing, the tavernas, the sea. And so some of the videos I've seen, they've actually been in Rethymno, playing in a square that I recognise. So yes, I would thoroughly recommend them. They are absolutely brilliant. The third band is a Russian band whom I believe I've mentioned before, called Otavayo, and there seem to be about 8 of them. And they are absolutely first class, brilliant, and at times hilarious and touching. They make amazing videos of some of their songs, because behind the song, very often there is a story to be told. And although you can sometimes hear the story in the words and in the music, they very much bring this to life by these sparky and wonderful videos, that set in places near where they live in St. Petersburg, with lots of sort of snow and forests and old wood cabins, and then there's sun and animals, and they're very sparky and funny and just lovely. So I've become very fond of them, and I love their music. The first one I heard was a piece called Timonia, and apologies if I'm pronouncing that wrongly. And as soon as I saw that video, I was just hooked. Like something like out of my teens, like a teenager, even then I was well into my 60s. So yes, give them a look if you haven't already. Thoroughly recommend them. The next one, and this is in order in which I found them, is a wonderful young man, I would guess in his late 20s, it is around my son's age, called Cohen Braithwaite Kilcoyne. And he plays the accordion, various accordions, and sings. And he is just first class, so folky stuff. He's got this amazing presence. It looks as if he's quite tall, and he really kind of sings from the heart and accompanies himself on the accordion. And the first time I came across him on YouTube, I was just knocked away. I just thought, this guy is absolutely brilliant. I think he does go round the folk clubs in the United Kingdom. I'm pretty sure he does. And I'm hoping eventually that I will get to see him in real as well. So that's Cohen Braithwaite Kilcoyne. And the last and most recent ones, and again, gosh, this lot have touched my heart. A group, I believe, from the Czech Republic, and I could have got that wrong, and if I have, I do apologize, called Elfin. There's about 5 or 6 of them, and they play medieval stuff with medieval type instruments. So there's one very charismatic young man, well, a young man compared to me, who seems to play lots and lots of instruments and who seems to be their leader. There's a young lady with very long dark hair who plays, amongst other things, recorders and bagpipes, and is absolutely brilliant. They also have a fiddle player, a harpist, a guy who sort of hits glasses, I suppose you'd call him, the drummer, as it were. And I think there's at least one other. Oh yes, there's a woman who plays things like the viola da gamba. So they are fantastic. And this has brought me back to one of my earliest loves, which was medieval music. I am following all of them. Isn't it? I mean, just as an aside, isn't this fantastic that one can, as an aging party, which I definitely am, follow people almost as if one were a teenager, following the Rolling Stones. God, that ages me. Or some of the punk bands, it's moved on from that, in that we can actually now follow, sort of modern people, young people, folk bands and medieval bands. It's not all about pop music. And although back in the day, you know, I would have followed the Snivelling Shits and the all the punk bands, and indeed, you know, had there been YouTube back in those days, perhaps just as well it wasn't. But I just think it's really lovely and exciting, despite all the negative things about, you know, social media, that we can follow these bands, that we can see them, that we can support them, and as it were, go to their concerts online. And certainly the 5 individuals or bands that I've mentioned on this YouTube, they have, in a more seriously, the last 10 years have in many ways been lovely, but also quite difficult. And all 5 of these individuals or bands have, through their music, given solace and warmth and inspiration and delight, just delight. So please, you know, if anybody is watching my videos, probably not, but if anybody is, do have a look at those 5 individuals and bands. I thoroughly recommend them all. And you never know, you might find a new favourite of your own by watching one of their videos. Yay. Okay. Bye.